Welcome to my podcast where we discuss various topics related to Quebec and Canadian real estate. In this episode number 9, we're going to talk about the HBP program, which is the Home Buyers Program for first-time buyers. In this episode, we're going to touch on what is the HBP program, who's eligible for it, how it works, and some important information that you're going to need to know prior to adhering to the program. So let's get started. So what is the HBP program? It's a federal program for first-time home buyer. It was implemented several years ago to help first-time home buyers with their down payment. And basically what it allows you to do is use up to $35,000 from your RRSP to use it as a down payment to purchase your first home. And if you're two individuals buying a property, so a husband and a wife, each of the parties can use up to $35,000. So that's a total of $70,000 that you can transfer from your RSP without incurring any taxes to use it as a down payment. Because typically if you pull money out of your RSP, it's going to be added to your income for that year and you pay taxes. With this program, it allows you to do that one-time transfer without incurring any fiscal impact for the given year. The program allows you to purchase an existing home or a new construction as long as you have a contract with the builder within 12 months of adhering to the program. So that's the what. Now let's talk about who's eligible. So when we say first-time home buyer, it's either you've never owned a home or you haven't owned a home for the last 4 years prior to signing up for the program. So you may have been an owner of a property 10 years ago, but if by the time you apply in the last 4 or 5 years you haven't been living in a home that you own, then you may be eligible for the program. But if you've applied to the program previously, as long as you've reimbursed the amount that you've used, you can be eligible as well. Lastly, to be eligible, you need to be Canadian resident. So those are some of the eligibility. And the full list of criteria to be eligible can be found on the CRA website. Now let's talk about how you apply for the program. It's fairly simple. So the first thing you'll need to do is download the T1036 form that you can find on the CRA website. So there's going to be a portion that you're going to have to complete and sign. And then once that's done, you're going to send it to your RRSP issuer. And there's a portion that they're going to have to fill up. And then they're going to transfer automatically the funds into the account that you've pre-designated when you opened the RSP. So typically when you open an RSP, you designate an account, either a checking or saving account, where the funds get transferred to whenever you want to withdraw any funds from it. The time it takes for the transfer of the fund can be dependent on the financial institution that your RSP is held in. You have 15 years to pay back the amount that you pull from your RRSP, and that repayment or reimbursement starts on the second year. So as an example, let's say you pulled $30,000 from your RRSP. 30,000 divided by 15, that's $2,000 of reimbursement that you're going to have to do every year starting the second year of your adhering to the program. And the way you reimburse it is whatever amount you invested in your RSP. So let's just say for 2023, you invested $4,000 into your RSP. Out of that $4,000, you will decide how much you want to allocate to your RSP. In our example, you would have to allocate at least the minimum, which is going to be $2,000, for that year. You're going to also get a yearly assessment of the balance and your minimum payment. And as well, you can log in at any time on the CRA website with your credential, and you'll be able to see the balance. So that's in a nutshell, what is the program, who's eligible, and how to apply for it. Now, I want to highlight some important information that you need that is going to be valuable to you to know prior to adhering to the program. The first thing, as I mentioned previously, you need to live in the property. So the intention is to live in the property within the first year of you buying it, right? So if you don't intend to live in it and you use the HBP program, there may be some repercussion to you. And it could be, as example, the government may decide that whatever amount you pulled from your RSP are going to be added to your salary for that year. So that means like you would have to reimburse the entire amount within the first year if you're not eligible for the program. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. In terms of the RSP, some types of RSP are not eligible for that program, so you really need to be careful. Any locked RSPs or group RSPs are not eligible. So what I recommend you do is contact your financial institution who holds your RSP and just ask them those questions. But typically, if you go on the CRA website, it does mention any group or locked RSPs are not eligible for the program. Thirdly, the amount that you allocate in your RSPs to the HBP reimbursement are not going to be tax deductible. So I'll try to explain this the simplest way I can. So I'll use the example I used earlier. You allocate, let's just say we're in 2023 right now, and you've invested $4,000 into your RSP. When you're going to do your tax paper, or your accountant is going to do your tax paper, you're going to decide how much of that $4,000 of RSP contribution you're going to allocate to your HBP program. So in our example, we've used $30,000 divided by 15 years. The minimum reimbursement is $2,000 per year. So in this instance, out of the 4,000, 2,000 gets reallocated as a reimbursement for the HBP program, and the other 2,000 is invested in your RSP. Okay. Typically, the reason why you invest in RSP, it helps reduce your taxable salary. So in our example, let's just say you make $50,000 and you've invested $4,000 in your RSP, you're going to be taxed on $46,000. That's the idea on why you invest in your RSP. And for folks that are outside Canada, our RRSPs are our Canadian program. But now if you use the HBP program, and out of that 4,000, you allocate 2,000 to the reimbursement of the HBP program, in our example of where you're making $50,000, then your taxable income is no longer 46, right? It's going to be 48, because out of that 4,000, 2,000 are being allocated to the HBP program, and the other 2,000 is going to be invested as a regular RSP. Although the entire 4,000 amount is going back into your RSP, but because you already got a tax credit on that HBP reimbursement, you're not getting a second one. Okay. What that means is typically your salary increases over time. So if you used your HBP program, let's just say you've adhered to the program 5 years ago, your salary would have been lower 5 years ago than what it is now. So that $2,000 that you're not getting a tax credit may have a bigger impact now than it did in the past. The same way that $2,000 is going to have a tax credit that you're not getting will have a bigger impact to you in the future than it does today. So it's something you want to take into consideration depending on your situation. So have a conversation with your accountant or your fiscal professional to really help you guide you there. Although I would say it shouldn't be a deterrent from you using the program, and if it helps you purchase a new home, because the sooner you jump into the real estate market, we know prices have been going up like crazy over the years. So the sooner you're able to purchase a home, the sooner you'll be protected against inflation. So again, something to consider and discuss with your accountant. Any missed payment that you do, so let's just say next year you decide to not allocate any amount to the reimbursement of the HBP program, and your minimum is, again, let's just say $2,000, that's going to be added to your salary. So in the same example, if you're making $50K a year, they're going to add 2K to your salary. So for that year, the government will tax you on $52,000. So again, something to consider. Also, very importantly, to be able to use the amount in your RRSP, the money has to have been in the account for a period of 90 days. So this is very important. So there are a lot of corporate employees that get yearly bonus or quarterly bonus, doesn't matter. And often I've seen folks wanting to use those bonuses as a down payment. And typically, depending on your employer, some employers will allow you to have your bonus paid out directly into your RRSP instead of your regular checking account to save taxes. Because typically when you get a bonus, you get it as a lump sum and you may be like taxed half of it. So a lot of employers allow you to, they can put your bonus directly into your RRSP. If that's your situation and you intend to allocate your bonus 100% in your RRSP to be able to use it in the home buyers program, keep in mind that the fund needs to be in your RRSP account for 90 days for it to be eligible to be withdrawn. So if your employer transferred the funds today in your RRSP, you should apply for the program 90 days from today to be able to be eligible to use that money in your HBP program. So again, something to take into consideration. Also, you're entitled to make extra payment. So if you want to reimburse $3,000 instead of the $2,000 I used in the previous example, you can do so. And then the minimum payment for the following year will be automatically recalculated for you. Again, you can log into the CRA website to see the new minimum balance, or you will get your notice of assessment at the end of the year. So that concludes today's episode about the Home Buyers Program. I hope the information has been valuable to you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.